Artie, thank you very much, Darren. Well, the search continues for 5 inmates still on the run after escaping a New Orleans prison last week.
Authorities were able to recapture 5 of the convicts shortly after their escape, including 2 with the assistance of facial recognition technology, a controversial technology that's banned here in a lot of the Bay Area.
Yeah, and with us now is one of the privacy advocates behind that ban, Brian Hofer. And Brian, I hope I have your name right, Executive Director of Secure Justice and the Chair of Oakland's Privacy Advisory Commission.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with just the top of, and to generalize all of this, with the background of why this technology is so controversial and what's the main argument against using it?
Well, thank you for having the opportunity here. And just to quickly correct, I termed out as chair of the Privacy Commission a month ago. Facial recognition has up to a 35% error rate. And it's one thing when you're standing perfectly still against like a DMV backdrop with a solid color under good lighting. It's going to be pretty accurate. But in real world situations, it often has trouble identifying people. And although it's alleged to have maybe worked in New Orleans, we also know that there's already been unlawful arrests from use of this technology that's misidentified people. And so what folks like me have been saying is when something has a known inaccuracy rate this high, do we really want to start putting this out into real world use, especially for policing, for enforcement, when we aren't able to guarantee that it's going to be accurate all the time, that we have safeguards in place. We could also argue, today with the political climate that we're in, we already have millions of cameras around the country. Do we really want to live in a society where we start using real-time facial recognition everywhere under the Trump administration?
Right. You do mention, though, the New Orleans thing, and I would have to say that those were dangerous criminals, and 2 inmates were caught using the technology, and that could have saved lives. So does that mitigate, and I realize the technology isn't perfect, but worked in that case, so doesn't that mitigate somewhat against your argument for not using it?
You can come up, with a hypothetical for any tool, and we could also admit,
it's not, but that's not hypothetical. They caught the criminals.
Right, and I freely admit any tool can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true. It would also militate against use when we have known false arrests from misidentification.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to get, is to auditing, to ensuring that technology works, that you have appropriate fail safes in place, because people have been locked in jail. People have been arrested in front of their kids. And, we didn't have those appropriate measures in place to prevent those things from happening.
Okay.
Now, Brian, we did a story at the top of the show about Oakland's police pursuit policy and how that could be dangerous. So wouldn't it be better to use a technology like this where you can have facial recognition and use this as just one tool in their entire chest, and then try to find ways to confirm the identity instead of just relying on this?
So we have a surveillance technology framework in Oakland, like San Francisco does and many other places. We've tried to use alternative technologies like GPS trackers, star chase, aerial pursuit, to use as the enforcement mechanism rather than a high-speed chase, which, as you know, is a liability nightmare, leads to crashes, lawsuits, and a lot of damage. And often we don't get the person that we were chasing after. So to say that in a speeding car, probably at night, under difficult conditions, is this camera going to get a clear picture of your face and therefore negate the need for pursuit? It's just not going to happen. We're not seeing that in the data.
Brian, I got to ask you really quickly, but just a quick answer if I could. What about speed cameras? Are you, philosophically for or against speed cameras in San Francisco?
Well, the state law has authorized them. They've been implemented. Oakland is also one of the pilot cities. We have not installed ours yet in Oakland, so I haven't.
But I mean, are
seen
you for or against the idea? That's a form of surveillance.
If the technology, Yeah, it doesn't identify personally identifiable information. It just tracks speed. So I'm willing to give that one a shot.
Okay, all right. Brian Hofer. Brian, thank you so much for taking time on what is a holiday weekend, because we appreciate, I know that you work with this a lot. We appreciate getting your point of view on it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.